In this video we will deal with the top 30 episodes from my good episode ranking. Since we are near the top 20 we have more episodes from season 1. Only 2 from season 4 and one of my favorite targets from season 2 and 3. So let's dive right in with Pascal and season 3. The episode Revolution with Pascal's death was even better. This was really a shocker because I did not see Conrad's move here coming. Especially because Daniel and Conrad seemed to have a plan to get rid of Pascal.
I've got a problem. Pascal has been talking to the feds. I've arranged for my friend over at Interpol to be standing by to extradite him back to France for Cooking Brulee's books.
Or is this just a strategy to distract Pascal so he does not see the next strike coming? Anyway, it was fun to see how these two really arrogant and very white businessmen fight over Victoria. Again, I dislike Daniel's behavior here. Colluding with Conrad and tipping him off. I mean, he is an accomplice to murder here.
Yeah, you know this won't sit well with your mother. She's going to accuse you of betraying her.
Please. She was the one who was foolish enough to trust him. Besides, there's many upsides to getting rid of Pascal.
And lying to Victoria about it was not his finest moment either.
Anything I can do for you?
You can tell me how your father came to learn of Pascal's intentions. Did you tell him?
Of course I didn't tell him.
The most I enjoyed Emily's ruse pretending to be from Homeland Security.
Miss Stone.
No. Agent Rebecca Stone, Homeland Security.
I was so hooked by this that I almost believed it was true. By the way, would have been a cool alternative storyline than her private vendetta.
It's enough to detain you, indefinitely! For 3 years now, I've been undercover building a case against the Graysons. Money laundering, murder, terrorism.
After all the crimes Conrad committed, is it not unlikely that no one from the police or FBI would try to investigate him? Was it not suspicious enough that the plane with 2 witnesses against him was blown up 2 years ago? Anyway, seeing Emily blackmailing Pascal and putting Victoria into her corner was fun.
Seems like you're actually getting what you deserve. Congratulations, Victoria.
And I like the little side plot with Nolan and Javier.
I am still the master of this universe, so if you want to be in my orbit, where else would I be?
Ross, if you're quite finished playing who's got the bigger hard drive,
Oh, millennials, if only he understood how well I know this gets us.
Hey, babe, what do you want to do for your next birthday?
That's easy. To get high and party.
High on life. I'm sure. We'd like to send you anywhere. On our dime. So let's plan your dream trip. Where do you want to go?
Sarajevo. There's a flight leaving JFK in 12 hours with a connection in Munich.
Sounds exotic.
Is this some kind of sick joke? My family was massacred there when I was 9. I barely escaped with my life.
I tried to tell Javier my clone wasn't ready, so I manipulated the data dumps for every single person here to show him.
Nice.
Another character who was poorly treated by the writers. Cause his fellow cell inmate had potential. Quick ranking. We have the conclusion of Pascal's story arc that ends with his death. Again, our characters dress up for a big event. Conrad killing himself was definitely a plot twist for me.
I want what I've always wanted. To win at any cost. Or do you need me to be more specific?
Yes, I do.
Sometimes, to thrive, you need to do the unexpected. Pascal, watch out!
Why aren't you arresting him?
For what, my dear? As I was telling the detective, Pascal wanted to talk, and I offered him a ride to the Hamptons. I tried to warn him, but it was too late.
You can't believe a word he says.
The pilot corroborates his story. It's a damn tragedy.
In this episode from season 2 called Power, we have my favorite target of this season, Judge Barnes and his wife Patricia. This one really stands out because they take the time to give us some more background information on the two.
Patricia Barnes. She's the wife of the judge in my father's trial. It says here she had a criminal record.
Join the club. Patricia was a badass.
Maybe back then.
That would scare anyone into silence.
Especially if the threat lives under the same roof.
It is not as good as the takedowns from the first season, since we have no flashbacks, but it was nice to see getting Fomander involved. Kind of torn I am with the love triangle between Emily, Daniel and Aiden.
Speaking of lost assets, looks like Takeda's boy's following right in your footsteps. That Emily's a real man-eater.
My problem isn't with Daniel, it's with this restaurant. You knew he was going to be here.
That's crazy.
How is it? Because I'm beginning to think that the only reason you've been dating me is so that you can keep tabs on your ex.
Oh, that is hilarious. You asked me out. If I'd have known that you were this insecure, I wouldn't have said yes in
Well,
the
maybe
first
you
place.
shouldn't have bothered. Emily, wait.
What's going on?
What's it look like? Your ex-fiancé just broke up with me.
A fake-up? Calling me impressed. If I didn't know better, I'd say Daniel's already thinking makeup.
I really like the idea of Emily pretending with Daniel because I was rooting for Aiden since he was introduced to us as Emily's new love interest. But I also like these different layers of feelings that Emily still cannot shake her sympathy and compassion for Daniel, but also hates him at the same time. Finally seeing him for what he is, a Grayson. Odd and funny in its own way was Victoria trying to play Cupid, bringing Emily and Daniel back together.
Ever since your engagement ended, I've witnessed some disturbing changes in Daniel's behavior.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I'm of the opinion that my son is very much in love with you.
You really believe he still loves me?
I would bet my life on it.
I know this lasted not longer than this episode, but it was true fun to watch how Victoria tried not only to accept Emily, but to encourage Daniel, giving her a second chance. And I really loved this little screwball comedy vibe between Nolan and Aiden.
BT Dubs, I was so sorry to hear about your breakup with Remington Steele.
They were just so funny.
Hello, man. Hey, buddy. Well, bros before hoes only works if he's not still in love with the hoe, bro.
Quick ranking. True standalone episode with a target not related to the initiative. Soap opera cliches with the abuse and shocking plot twist of Patricia telling the truth about her husband.
And today, my husband, Robert Barnes, stands to inherit a great deal more power. The greater the power, the greater the potential for abuse.
Major hookup because Emily and Daniel are getting back together for better or for worse. Depends on if you are a Demi Lee or Amy Lee shipper. For the next one we go back to the beginning and Takeda's introduction in the episode Loyalty. That he made such an impact in only 3 episodes speaks for the actor Hiroyuki Sanada. His portrait in this really manipulative scene were much more ambiguous and intriguing than the one in season 2.
When you came to me, you were just a little girl. So much rage, so much betrayal. I did not want to train you because your emotions destined you to fail. I can do nothing more to help you.
Please, don't abandon me.
The decision was yours. You are on your own.
I also enjoyed Nolan's fight with Emily, which had one of the greatest quotes of Nolan from season 1 in it.
You crossed the line, Emily. How could you do that to me?
If you mean that recording of you and Tyler, you'll thank me one day I did you a favor.
But I trusted you.
You can't build trust on secrets, Nolan.
I'm done playing their evil games.
I never asked you to be a part of this.
No, your father did. And he didn't want this for you, remember? It's good that he's gone, because at least now I can't see what you become.
For the first time Emily was shown vulnerable here. The only thing I did not enjoy was Daniel's reaction towards Fomander. Must have felt like a personal insult to Emily as well.
Do you have a problem with me?
That girl makes me nervous. Just be careful with her.
Whoa! Chill, Cujo.
Sammy, stop.
Introducing her problems with Sammy and Jack because she cannot remember what she did not experience was fun at first watch, but now feels just dull.
Still like blueberry pancakes?
Who doesn't like pancakes? Sorry, memory lane isn't exactly a road I like to go down.
No, of course.
They made a big fuss of the... Is it not a bit forced that the dog still recognizes Emily and is so hostile to Fomander? Not to forget that the dog must be as old as the hills. I mean, how is that even possible? But since they always went back to it and it was in some kind the only connection between Amanda and Jack, we have to accept it. At least in this season.
You take care of him for me, okay? How's the Wonder Dog?
Starting to lose it a little, I'm afraid. Yeah, well, to be fair, I don't think she remembers much about him either. She's blocked out most of her childhood, and she really hates talking about it.
You mentioned that you have a hard time talking about your childhood memories.
That's only because she remembers more of the stuff than you actually told me.
It's a diary from when I was in foster care. If you're going to be Amanda Clarke, you need to know absolutely everything.
Last but not least, there are 2 side plots I enjoyed in this episode.
Prioritize the obstacles to your end goal. Eliminate them one at a time.
There are 2 of them. Tyler. He's simple, or ought to be. And then there's Amanda. She's a ticking time bomb.
Engage your ultimate opponent to do the work for you.
Because of Takeda's advice, Emily is using Victoria and Nolan to deal with her roadblocks, Tyler and Fomander. Finally, she seems to accept Nolan's helps and he is head over heels that Emily trusts him enough to go after Tyler.
You know what? I don't have time to deal with your problems, Nolan. I have too many of my own. Tyler, I need you to find something for me to use to discredit him with the Graysons.
My first solo takedown?
You should probably get out of here. My girl can't stand you.
If Ashley doesn't want to see me, she should take out a restraining order. You have some experience with that, right?
What are you talking about?
Oh, right. The restraining order was against you. My mistake.
I like the twist that Emily is manipulating both and in the end only trusts herself.
Is that really your best attempt at saying you're sorry?
My apologies, Emily. I hope you'll forgive me.
Apology accepted.
Thank you.
Well, I'll leave you two alone. Be nice to your mom. She's the only one you'll ever have. Listen, if you and I are gonna make this work, you can't continue to let her have all of this power over you, or else eventually she's gonna get exactly what she wants.
Which is what?
To separate you from anyone who could threaten to take you away from her. The only way to stop your mother is to forgive her.
She was very much at the top of her game in season 1, caring for nobody and anything more than her mission and even manipulating Victoria.
May I ask you, what is it about me that troubles you so much? We all have things in our past that we wish we could change, don't we?
Don't hurt my son, Emily.
The last thing I want is for Daniel to get injured in any of this. I think it's time that we work out our differences.
Yes, I think we can both do that. For Daniel's sake.
I really want to make things right between us, especially since there's a chance that we could be family someday.
It was fun to watch how easy it is for her to destroy and mend Daniel's relationship with his mother. She does the same to Fomander and Jack later. I think it was never more obvious than in season 1 how good she is using people and does not care to play with even her closest allies and friends like they are chess figures in a game. Quick ranking check. We have the introduction of a new character with Takeda, Emily's mentor from Japan. And we have a major hook and breakup with Tyler in this episode.
Hello. Hello, thank you.
Of course, 20 million of them. We could have been a good team. Now you're just as lonely and pathetic as the day I found you.
We have some dressing up going on for the little investors' lunch. Some of the lamer flashbacks with David's attorney.
How did you get in here?
That's the least of your problems right now. I want to know why you dropped my father's appeal.
My all-time favorite from the beginning of season 3 was the introduction of Father Paul and him helping Emily to take down Conrad.
Because I think Father Paul can do the one thing I haven't been able to. Convince Conrad to confess. Everything.
Yes, it was doomed to fail because we're that early in the season. Nonetheless, it was fun to watch how Emily manipulating Conrad like this.
You said you felt that you were being punished for your sins. If you sinned, you paid a price. That seemed fair to me.
I don't know what I deserve.
No, Conrad, I didn't mean you. And even if I did, you're Catholic. You can always repent.
But let's start with the second episode, Sin. First, the bad stuff, which was Aiden meeting Victoria on the yacht. Yeah, it was fun seeing him collude with her, and for me this could have gone on a little longer. But this scene really felt like an advert, and Emily's prologue did not quite fit that well to the tone of the scene.
But it is the sins that follow that are not so easily washed away. And since forgiveness of trespass is only granted the truly penitent, pure evil can never be erased.
Maybe showing the scenes with Father Paul in the church and Emily framing him with the photographs would have been a better fit for her words about original sin. Anyway, I love the twist they gave Emily's targets in the later seasons. In season 2 we had allies who helped take down the target like her foster brother and the wife of Judge Barnes. And we had targets with Mason Treadwell and Father Paul who turned into allies.
But you can have faith. I did as you asked.
I'm short of faith these days.
Well, then I'll put it to you this way. If Conrad doesn't come forward, I will.
Another thing I did not quite enjoy was revitalizing Daniel's jealousy.
Let them be. I'm sure they have much to catch up on.
So what, you bring him here to flaunt him in front of me and Emily, hoping to stir something up? You were wrong about them. It was nothing more than a fling.
Are you sure about that? Because they fight as if they're in love.
Mother was right, wasn't she, about you and Aiden? Because you said he meant nothing to you, but that's not what I saw tonight.
Aiden couldn't accept that I moved on. He wanted me to run away with him, but I didn't. You can't let that affect us. I chose you.
My mother said you were seeing him behind my back even after we got engaged. I'm telling you right now, I'm not going down this path again with you.
And we won't.
It was like revisiting season 1 with Daniel's ridiculous accusation Emily having an affair with Jack. Yeah, she kissed him in a heated moment, but I guess she would have broken up with Daniel before pursuing anything real with Jack. Yet in season 2 and 3 we have a whole new level of betrayal because she is actually seeing Aiden behind Daniel's back. So, in fact, both Victoria and Daniel are right with their accusations, and still Daniel does not know anything about it. I also disliked Charlotte's bitchiness at the beginning of season 3.
You know, I used to defend you when my mother would go on one of her Emily rants, but now I think I'll stay quiet.
You really are becoming a Grayson, aren't you?
It's great to see you again.
And I hate this subplot of her playing Cupid first with Jack and later with her brother Daniel. And Nolan's party was a big disappointment, too. I mean, they built up these great expectations and then this really uninspired pool party who looks like a lame version of Spring Break.
Nolan doesn't do modest. Clearly.
So now, what's the dolphin update?
It's just planning my housewarming.
I heard. Right now they're dechlorinating your pool for the swans. Hope nobody plans on swimming. Swans are filthy animals. I am curious to see how somebody blows 2 mil on one evening.
I guess the only thing that was nice were the maritime outfits of Nolan and Margot. And I liked Emily's cream white dress with the jacket and her hairstyle. But more I enjoyed the main plot around Conrad and Father Paul.
For confession, perhaps?
God already knows what I did, Paul. That ship has sailed.
Have you considered turning yourself in for your crimes?
Why the hell would I do that? I'm almost home free.
You're alone, and no one wants to die alone. By clearing David's name, his reputation, you would be giving your daughter her father back. And isn't that a better way to leave this world?
He was the one who almost got Conrad to confess. That was thrilling through. I never thought this would actually work. In fact, I still believe this was just a ruse of Conrad getting Father Paul in the car and kill him by accident. Maybe he just wanted to freak him out, but I think Conrad never intended to truly confess his crimes. Even with this diagnosis and believing he would die, it is totally out of character for Conrad to do the noble thing. Yet I loved his fight with Victoria, even though she goes completely insane here.
Why don't you think about it this way? You see, by turning myself in, I'm not only clearing his name for Charlotte, but for you as well, my dear. So that you can finally have your true love back. Dead as he may be.
I will give you more than that, darling. Are you responsible for this idiocy?
She's having trouble accepting my decision.
I can see that.
Even more, I love that they take the time to make us feel the loss of Father Paul.
Father Paul's gone. Yeah, he was a good man. He was taken too soon.
That phone call with Emily showed how close they became, and I really wished he would have become a confidant for Emily.
I was enraged at the injustice I felt when you framed me, for taking away everything that I thought I deserved. But I've realized that those feelings must pale in comparison to what David Clarke must have felt. To have his life ripped away from him, his career, his little girl, and to think that I helped do that to him, I played God. You promised me your forgiveness.
I do. I forgive you.
But you're not God either. I urge you to let go of whatever grudge you may have and move on before you lose yourself.
God knows she needed one in this season. I mean, look what's to come for her. Her relationship with Aiden, her one true love, goes down multiple times. Nolan goes hard on her in this season, almost losing faith if her revenge agenda is even justified anymore.
All signs point to Paul being a good man.
My father was a better man.
Right. The gospel, according to Emily, sin unto others as you've had sinned unto you. This time, I kind of think you're going too far. If you cannot forgive Paul, how do you expect to be forgiven?
I don't.
Just check your soul, Emily Thorne, because once you start taking down kittens, I'm out.
Jack is constantly pushing her to end this vendetta as well. And on top of all that, Daniel shoots her with all the consequences for her personal life. So yeah, I was truly devastated when he died, and the scenes with Conrad trying to lie his way out of his guilt and reinterpret the appearance of Father Paul was just so hard to watch.
Brother Paul's dead.
You rehearsing the sob story you're planning on telling at your manslaughter trial?
No, my dear, I merely want you to understand how Father Paul came to be behind the wheel at the time of the accident. I've been misdiagnosed. I realize now what Father Paul meant when he said that he'd been brought back into my life through divine intervention. I mean, he was God's vessel to show me that I'm meant to live a long and meaningful existence here on earth, and Father Paul is now doubtless in heaven.
They really make us hate Conrad more than ever. And I love Henry Czerny's performance in his last season. Like I despised Daniel's descent by following again his father's footsteps.
You do realize it's a power play, son. Well, I presume you don't consider my marriage a paragon of excellence, but the thing that's kept the fire lit all these years is that we know how to fight, but not surrender. You had the good sense to help me cover it up.
I didn't do it for you. I can't have the family dragged through the mud 1 week before my magazine launch. I'm finally making a name for myself. I have something to lose now.
He makes the same mistakes as in season 2. Only that he does it solely for his own personal advantage and future. Which is even worse if he was just helping his family.
This was passive-aggressive. Hell, this was aggressive. You were trying to hurt me.
You're right, Daniel. I'm not an idiot. I know exactly what was happening this morning.
And this was in retaliation? Did you stop for a second to think about why I helped my father?
Does it matter? It's disgusting. I thought you were better than Conrad, but you're just as wrapped up in his lies.
Yeah, right.
Another thing, the new love triangle or even quadruple between Emily, Aiden, Daniel and Jack. I mean, did anyone keep up with the ever-changing couple dynamic between those three men and Emily?
Have you lost your mind?
Have you?
He's in the way. Have you? Do you love him?
Oh, are you seriously
I need
asking
to
me
know,
that?
Emily, because I didn't just come here to take down the Graysons. I came because of you, and I will not be made a fool of.
It seems as if all three are constantly fighting with Emily and blaming her for their relationship problems.
Now, you told me it's none of my business what happens when this is all over, but how well do you know Aiden? Just after seeing Aiden today, I think you deserve more than you're getting.
You don't even know him.
At least we have some steamy scenes with her and Aiden, but Daniel and Jack make not the impression as if they are head over heels for Emily in this season.
Because lately I've been feeling like I'm just playing a role in a story you're writing.
What are you saying?
Something I didn't want to admit, but I can't ignore it anymore. I can't marry you, Emily.
Quick ranking check. We have the conclusion of the story arc with Conrad's Huntington disease, and with Father Paul's death the plot with Emily trying to make Conrad confess comes to an untimely death. Conrad's car crash and him being responsible for Father Paul's death is definitely a major plot twist. So we have a new character introduced and died. For this one we jump back to season 4. It is tough because I love the elaborate ruse here, yet the end of season 4 just seems so crowded and rushed. I really like these two episodes, Burn and Aftermath. I do. Yet they are very much constructed and there are still a lot of plot holes in the story here. Like, how could Victoria know that Emily would not come back home and disturb her? Then the whole plan of framing her would have gone wrong. Or was she willing to kill Emily to make a point? Anyway, as I said earlier, it was nice to see that they finally get to endgame with Victoria and Emily literally burning everything to the ground in their war. And reversing roles here was just perfect.
Amanda Clarke, you're under arrest for the murder of Victoria Grace.
Victoria set me up. She planned this. That bitch set me up. I'm innocent.
I waited for this since they teased us at the end of the pilot episode for this season.
Am I right, Amanda? You chose revenge. Now it's my turn.
The only thing that would have made this ruse of Victoria better if we would actually have the question in mind, Jack is afraid to axe. Did Emily do it? The last 4 or 5 episodes of this season were just too cramped for this. But this could have been a chance for the last time to evaluate Emily's need for revenge.
You don't believe me? You don't think I'm telling the truth?
No, it's not that I don't think you're telling the truth. It's that I don't think you know how to tell the truth. All right, I don't think there's any difference in your head between the stories that you spin and actual facts. And that is what makes you dangerous.
Anyway, letting Grayson Manor going up in flames and finally putting Emily in jail was fun to watch. 'Cause it is kind of true what Victoria and Margot are telling us. For all her crimes in the past, Emily belongs in jail. But so does Victoria and Margot after her own revenge ender. I mean, even Jack and several other cast members have done some things that could give them a free meal behind bars. And putting on that red dress she wore with Pascal in season 3 was just perfect.
Any idea who it belongs to?
Not to forget the engagement ring Pascal gave her. 'Cause I think in fact Victoria is still not over his death and that Emily stole her happy future in Paris from her. Maybe this was even her reason to get back together with David in the first place. Not because she still loved him, but to take revenge on Emily for taking Pascal from her. Anyway, let's move on to the score for these 2 episodes. We have 1 red Sharpie for the conclusion of this vendetta with Emily getting framed by Victoria with the help of Margot and Louise. 2 red Sharpies for the soapy cliches with Victoria dressing up for her own suicide, which obviously turns out to be a murder. And for the shocking plot twist that Emily is made responsible for Victoria's fake death and gets arrested. Now with big steps to the juicier stuff. And my favorite targets, Senator Tom Kingsley, psychiatrist Michelle Banks and Mason Treadwell. Let's begin with the episode Duplicity. They managed to increase the satisfaction because we get more personal with Michelle Banks, who is not only the go-to shrink of the Hamptons but was Amanda Clarke's psychiatrist as well.
If you don't stop challenging me on this, you might wind up spending the rest of your childhood in this place. Is that what you want?
Please don't leave me in here. I promise I'll be a good girl.
You just be pretending. People who aren't who they claim to be, Amanda, are very, very dangerous. You would be wise to remember that.
This episode contains the most iconic flashback and my favorite theme song.
You're soaking wet.
I told Conrad I was leaving him. I want for us to be together.
Agnes Obel, whose music I discovered because of Revenge, has the right quality of sadness and creepiness for these kind of scenes. And the lyrics just fit perfectly here. Maybe this target was the best way to intertwine Amanda's and Victoria's story.
I've known Amanda Clark's family for quite some time, and with her father's arrest for that horrible crime, I think it's best for everyone involved that Amanda be institutionalized. What if I offered you a private practice with a steady stream of the right kind of clients? In return, you see to it that Amanda gets the care she needs in a proper institution, that she and her father remain separated for good.
I mean, we get why Victoria is Emily's main focus, not Conrad. Conrad may have ruined David's life, but it was Victoria who stole Amanda's happy childhood.
They destroyed David, and you destroyed his daughter.
I mean, if Michelle Banks had tried to find a good foster home for Amanda and had granted her to visit her father in prison, who knows how her life would have turned out. Surely better than staying in a foster home being brainwashed by an adult who is trained to see through manipulations and therefore can manipulate people even more efficient.
You know the truth.
What did he do? He hurt people.
Go on.
He killed people. He lied. Good girl.
The only thing dull was the love triangle they tried to pull off here. What worked in season 2 and 3 with Emily, Aidan and Daniel because of that insane chemistry between Emily Van Camp and Barry Sloane is just not that much entertaining here. I mean, every scene between Jack and Emily feels just so sad and depriving.
I swear to God, I'm not stalking you. Though I'm not sure the same could be said for my dog. It's nice to know there's somebody else out there with an appreciation for history. It's nice to see you again.
What is it that Emily Van Camp always emphasizes her loss here? I mean, until season 4 it seems not that much if Emily is actually in love with Jack. And that misunderstanding with Daniel on top of Tyler's intervention was just bad timing, as we have seen so much in TV shows and romantic comedies before.
Well, then we're even, because I was beginning to question if you'd lost my number.
Tyler told me you canceled dinner.
I stared at an empty chair for 2 hours until I finally accepted that you had stood me up.
The chair didn't look so empty to me. I saw you and Jack through the windows. I know. I'm not proud of it.
I made that dinner for you, Daniel. Jack and I are just friends. He came by unexpected and he was hungry. I didn't want the food to go to waste.
I'm such an idiot.
Yeah, a little bit.
If Daniel had come a few minutes earlier, he had seen Emily waiting for him alone. Another thing I enjoyed with these first takedowns that went so smoothly was the combination of reality and fiction. Those Hamptons exposed website Nolan created was really online.
You have really outdone yourself. Your Hamptons Exposed link is a work of art. I mirrored the site and posted a few clones just to make sure it never dies.
Thank you.
I think you can still find it on the web. Only the video clips are no longer available, which I include here because they are really funny.
I don't know what to do. Paying for designer couture isn't half as fun as shoplifting it. I just can't help myself. You understand, don't you? I mean, I can't be the only one that has this problem, right?
You want me to tell him? How am I supposed to explain to my husband that I slept with his sister? It doesn't seem right. He's never gonna forgive me.
And have you hit bottom?
Close. I drove my children to summer camp loaded on painkillers and vodka.
It takes a lot for me to get physical with anybody. Oh my God.
One last thing I really enjoyed. Even though I do not buy this love triangle, Nolan's attempts to get Emily and Jack back together at the beginning of season 1 was fun to watch.
Jack and Emily sitting in a tree.
Really? I'm just not her type.
You're everyone's type. Well, you can't wait for this girl to come to you.
The only reason for me to wish for the two to become a pair was because of him.
Now I've met this guy, and even though I don't know him very well, I have this strange feeling that he could be the one. It's just a feeling that I get.
Quick ranking check here. Again, we have a standalone episode with flashbacks. Many soap opera cliches with that Hamptons Exposed scene and the flashbacks of Victoria and David. Not to forget the dressing up part for the mothers and daughters tea.
I'm getting pretty sick of you sticking your nose where it doesn't belong, Nolan. I know you've been whispering in Jack Porter's ear.
I heard you two had a perfectly lovely evening, and nice to know you can let your guard down once in a while. Who knew you could cook? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I smell the distinct aroma of retribution in the air.
Mothers and daughters only.
Thank you.
Now to my all-time favorite target, Mason Treadwell from the episode Infamy. Roger Bart was quite an occurrence. And I like how they use another angle and give us always more information about the conspiracy with every new target.
Fascinating footage. Clarke seems to be utterly convinced he's telling the truth.
In his twisted mind, he is. The general consensus within the psychiatric community is advanced pathological narcissism.
And no element of his story has been borne out by facts?
Not a shred.
First, we had friends and colleagues who betrayed David and stayed on their employer's side with Lydia Davies and Bill Harmon. Then we had the justice system that failed David with prosecutor Tom Kingsley. Now we have Mason Treadwell, who as a journalist could have uncovered the truth and made the scandal public.
Do you have a response to David Clarke's allegations that you two were lovers? But I'm going to write this story with or without your input.
But he chose to stay on the Graysons' good side and be patronized by that wealthy Grayson couple. So, every one of the conspirators had another motive to help the Graysons cover up their crimes. And you can tell how good the storytelling in this season is by the story arc around the secret of Charlotte's true father.
Victoria gave birth to a baby girl. Her name is Charlotte. Ask her who the father is.
Only because Emily stole Mason Treadwell's tapes she gets to know that Charlotte is her half-sister. And the tapes are also the reason why Jack gets to know the truth about the Graysons and the conspiracy.
Find the lady with the dark hair. She was there the night they took him away. He loved her, and she loved him.
You know the name of this woman?
Victoria.
They also found a clever way to include Fomander into this. I think Emily became very much pragmatic here. If Fomander stays and tries to stir up trouble, she can at least be used for her revenge ender.
And what about your word, Leo?
I don't think he did it.
I don't either. How'd you like to help me rescue your father?
And I know we should not enjoy her torching Mason's house, but the whole sequence with the flashbacks to how he betrayed that poor little girl was just heartbreaking and pure guilty pleasure. Maybe one of the best scenes in season 1. And surely one of the best of Emily Allen Lind as young Amanda Clarke. Quick score check here. Again we have standalone and flashbacks, so 2 red sharpies for the story. Soap opera cliches are involved with the plot twist of Charlotte being Amanda's half-sister. In the episode Betrayal we have the first takedown for which Emily and Nolan are working together.
Well, well, well. It isn't the thorn in everyone's side.
To what do I owe the pleasure?
Is it possible to hack a computer tablet to run a PowerPoint presentation?
Possible for you or possible for me?
Can you do it or not?
With both hands tied behind my back.
Is it done?
This is some of my best work, if I do say so.
Second he opens that god-awful speech, the program will initiate.
You better be right.
The third episode had really some of those classic revenge scenes in it. First, Emily's nightmare of getting caught and the nice theme of Sammy walking back to her house.
Amanda Clarke. How long did you really think you could fool me? You must be as stupid as your father.
I wonder if he did that when little Amanda was gone and the house was empty all this time before Lydia and her husband moved in.
Oh, good boy.
Good boy. Found this old timer at my door last night.
Again? I'm so sorry.
Maybe he's trying to tell me something. The Amanda?
Yeah, Sammy named her.
Anyway, the main plot was taking down Tom Kingsley, the prosecutor of David's case.
Today, I am just grateful that justice prevailed, and that this terrible man has been held accountable for his crimes against the American people.
And I like how they play around with the guilt of Victoria here. She obviously was the weak spot in this conspiracy.
The feds are coming for David tomorrow night. What's done is done. Now you made your decision, Victoria. The sooner you start living with it, the better.
Cause as we see in the flashbacks, she constantly changed her mind and tried to save David one last time short before the verdict.
David Clarke is innocent and I can prove it. Tell the judge and have him call back the jury.
I guess this was the most intriguing part behind the Grayson storyline, how this still affects the relationship between Victoria and Conrad. And how little Conrad feels that guilt of framing David. I mean, all his flashbacks are so full of self-pity and show no compassion towards David. While Victoria always tortures herself with the memory of David and her betrayal. Anyway, this takedown was very much satisfying, especially with the conservative politics in the States in mind and the double standards.
I came here tonight to announce that I will not be seeking re-election this fall. As I am retiring from public life, I'll see to it your contributions are returned. I'm very sorry.
I have to know. How'd you get your hands on a sex tape?
I bought the building that his mistress lives in. As part of the renovations, I had cameras installed. I released the videos to the press.
What I also enjoyed in the first season is that they made us afraid of Emily. More than ever, she is someone that you do not want as your enemy.
You already got what you wanted. You destroyed a man's career.
I want to destroy his life. Down he goes.
Along with his family. You scare me.
Good.
Quick ranking check. Standalone episode with flashbacks because of this new target. Soapy elements and shocking plot twists involved as dressing up. Yet no major change in terms of the main characters.